Alright, welcome everybody. In today's video, we are going to be looking at the Astra P14. This is actually sold under a couple different names, but from my understanding and looking at the specs between the companies, it's all the same unit. This also goes under the name the ADNV G14 P2, and that is sold by ADNV and another company called Goodnight Gear. I'm sure you've seen Goodnight Gear's videos. They cover a lot of digital night vision. But Astra sent me this, and I want to say thank you for sending this out. We have always really wanted to cover a higher end digital night vision device here. This thing's going to run just about $2,400 from Astra. The other companies I mentioned are charging a lot more for it. We will be reviewing this up against Gen 2 and Gen 3 night vision. We also have another digital unit here. It's not on par with this, but we just wanted to cover sort of the differences between them all. First things first, let's start with some of the benefits of digital night vision. The first and biggest thing that people always bring up is the fact that there's no time burnout. This can potentially have an unlimited runtime, unlike an analog unit that will see about 7,500 to 10,000 hours on Gen 2 and about 15 or 20,000 hours on a Gen 3. So they actually have like a runtime where they burn out. Digital does not share that. I know something's probably going to wear out eventually, but there's no time to end life to the unit. Another big thing is digital night vision does not have the sensitivity to bright lights where it can damage the sensor inside of it. Analog units use a phosphor intensifier tube, and you can get burn marks and damage to them relatively easily, but if you're careful, I think you can avoid it. The disadvantages that have always plagued digital night vision is latency and ultimate low light performance. Another small consideration to make with digital units is the battery life will never be the same. You're running a screen in there, and the digital units are just going to burn a lot more power. Now, this isn't as big of a deal to me. As long as I can get a whole evening or all night under heavy use of using night vision, it doesn't bother me as much. Some people complain about it. I don't really care. This thing's going to run all night long with no problems, doing whatever you want to do. A PVS-14 is going to get 40 or 50 hours on one AA battery, just because they work so differently. Okay, let's start getting into the performance of this. This is hands down the best low light performance digital night vision device I have ever seen. I was very, very impressed with how well it could actually see in the dark in comparison with real analog night vision Gen 2 and Gen 3. I would put this right in between Gen 2 and Gen 3. It's not better than Gen 3 night vision, but I think its low light performance certainly can beat out a lot of Gen 2 units. And in my case, my Gen 2 unit that I have, this is better than it's seeing in the dark. We had this unit out for a ton of testing. I have limited time with these. I only get about 30 or 40 days to review night vision devices, but we did cram a lot of testing in a short order. I was under a moonlit field. We tested this under just a regular old field, around where I live, so there's some ambient light around. We had all the units out, and nothing struggled. Even the DNT unit that I had shown here, is fine under a moonlit field. You can see everything and there's no issues, and this didn't have any problems at all. No supplemental IR light, no nothing. And that's where this unit is going to take off over the more budget-friendly DNT optic that we had it testing up against. The DNT, basically, when you get it into tree cover in the woods or, really dark, no ambient light. Where I test, there's almost no ambient light around whatsoever. There's like one house near me about 200 yards off, and there's like a little light bulb, and you can see it shining, and it seems much brighter under night vision. It's not bright at all where I am. So the area that I test in there's no ambient light whatsoever. And the tree cover absolutely kills night vision devices. This required no ambient light in tree cover in the woods. So that was super impressive to see. Even my Gen 3 night vision does struggle a little bit with that. And this certainly was struggling, but it still did not require IR light to see and view what was going on around you. All right, let's get into latency and some of the usability issues that I have with digital night vision, because this whole review isn't going to be perfect. This unit can go from 60 or 120 frames per second. I only tested it at 120. I cannot use something at 60 frames per second. It is basically unusable to me, and it's not even worth even talking about to me because I would just rag on the unit the whole time. So we ran it at 120 the whole time. The latency is complicated to discuss with this unit because I don't see where I'm dropping any frame rate with the unit where it's like I'm missing screens. If anyone's ever played video games and you've experienced latency, it's like when you turn and like the picture is like choppy, almost where you're almost like missing sections of the vision that you're trying to see. I did, however, experience blur with the unit. So when you walk under analog night vision, there is no latency whatsoever because you have an unlimited frame rate with analog night vision. The ground under motion when you're walking, and this is important because we use night vision to navigate at night. The ground under the digital, like when I'm looking down and walking, was very, very blurry when it was moving over the ground. And I had this, every time you stopped, it cleared right up again. I am unable to show that because it doesn't reflect in the recordings that I took through the recording box that plugs into this. But you're just going to have to take my word for it. Anytime you are moving in very dark conditions, especially where I was in the woods, the blur was almost too much to deal with. And in a lot of cases, because I was just filming and trying to capture footage, I would just give up, and I have a task light on my night vision helmet, and I would kick real light on, white light on, and I would move to where I wanted to film. And that says a lot about the usability of digital night vision. It is not on par with analog as far as how natural it feels, and again, the usability and moving under night vision. It's just not there yet. Now, everyone's eyes see differently. I seem to struggle more with the latency problem than anyone else. There's guys who do airsoft and stuff who use cheaper digital units that are like, oh, I can run 60 frames a second, no problem. I cannot do that. It makes me sick, and I just don't like it. Another issue with this unit, and I have to bring this up because I don't understand why it's like this. This unit is meant to mount on regular PVS-14 mounts. As you can see, it has a notch and a screw, just like a PVS-14. The problem is, when it's on your helmet mounted to a real PVS-14 mount, the screen is tilted. It's actually crooked. You're looking at the screen sideways. One thing that could be easily fixed with this is make the screen level when it's on a mount. When I'm holding it, I can hold it straight, but when I'm holding it, I can hold it any way that I want. So I don't know why they did that. Whatever they do in the future, that needs to be fixed. I want to look at the screen flat and not crooked. And you'll see it on the footage here. I'm actually turning the image in the editor to make it as level as I possibly can. Now, Astra did say that they have a mount that they could send me, that when I put it on a helmet, that it would be straight. So if you were going to own this unit, I probably would do that. The problem I have with that is part of the appeal of this digital night vision is that it can share direct mounts with the PVS-14s you may already own. And in my opinion, that's going to take away some of kind of the cool usability of sharing mounts. We also ran into some contrast issues. We had two illuminators out this evening. I had the Iris RD4 and I had the HFXC. These are both decent illuminators, and I've never had any issue with them at any other time with any analog night vision devices. There is a slight contrast issue with the IR light dot. So when I have the Illuminator on and the dot in the middle, sometimes, and it's more indoors than outdoors, but I have some clips of it doing this outdoor too, you will lose that dot. This is not a good thing to see with night vision. I need to see that dot when I need to see it. And every so often you're like, I can't see the dot. And when I'm rolling over a tree or on like a dark surface indoors, I lose it here and there. And I don't like seeing that. And I messed with the contrast and the sharpness settings and everything. I went through everything to make sure that I had that right, and I was at least testing it to see what I could do. I cannot change any settings in here to fix that issue. And that brings me up to another point. Even if I could, and there was like certain settings that you could set inside of this to have it right under certain conditions, it would be wrong under other conditions. And analog night vision seems to just be able to pick up the contrasting IR light with that dot at any given moment with no setting changes. So if you have the settings right in one place, it might be wrong for another. And if you're out with night vision, I don't have time to go into the settings to see my dot. What if I need to shoot right then and right there? I cannot mess with settings. I will not have time to do that. On a better note with that, looking through and doing passive aiming is absolutely incredible with this, and may be better than the analog units. As shown here, it is really good. Everything is nice and crisp through those dots. This is a Holosun 510C that we're looking through here. I did try it with a bunch of other red dots, and it performed the same. As long as you had night vision settings on your red dot, it was a double thumbs up. Last, and again, I'm not trying to beat up on this unit, but I am a consumer advocate and I have to cover everything. The last problem with this is there is certain LED lights that will absolutely make the screen on this just go absolutely nuts, where you can't see anything. It just lines out everywhere. I'm going to roll some clips of that too. It mostly happened indoors, but one potential issue I could see, and I didn't run into it, so take this for what it is. If a building or someone was shining some sort of this LED light, and I don't know what it runs at or which LED light is making it do it, I don't know, but the ones in my house obviously did. But if you were in the dark and you came up on a building running a certain LED light, this could potentially completely blur out your image under your night vision and could be a real problem. To end the video, as always, I'm going to roll some clips of all of these units together, and we're just going to have some commentary on them. Okay, to start, this is the Gen 3 unit, and we just wanted to show off just low light performance. This is the end of the night, so it's super dark in the woods. And then we move on to the Astra P14. I want to say the Astra, the internal recorder that I used throughout the process of filming, did a very good job showing its actual performance. The analog night vision that we film all the time, no matter what I do, it never represents what it actually looks like. This is the Gen 2 here. It just never actually shows what you see. The cameras that we use, whether it be a cell phone, whether it be the DSLR camera, whether it be anything we use, always adds so much grain and takes away so much detail from what a analog night vision device can actually do, what it's actually capable of doing. You really can't see the true performance of analog night vision unless you are looking right under it, whether you have it mounted on your head. This is sort of a video I really wanted to put together, and it is the DNT C200. Nice. It is a Gen 3 night vision threaded onto a DSLR camera, and then the internal recording of the Astra P14. We had all these running, and we did our best to sync them all together. And just to show you the difference between all of them, the DNT C200, it always works really good. This is a little bit earlier in the night. You can tell by how clear everything is, but we just wanted to get some shooting in there. I want to say it's also too dark to see with the naked eye down, like especially down into the woods where we're looking. So the devices are being pushed a little bit here, but not in total darkness. None of the devices have any flash issues where they're cutting when the gun goes off. We used a mix between a 22 long rifle shown in this clip, and then throughout we had the 300 blackout running a lot too. The 300 blackout is my favorite suppressed night vision real weapon there is. We use the 22 a ton on this channel just for testing, just because it's cheap, it's light, and we can just carry it around and use it whenever we want.
I'm having contrast issues. Big time. That is a white painted target. And yeah, I'm struggling to see that white painted target for sure.
We want to say thank you to Astra Night Vision for sending this out to us. I hope the device didn't get too much of a shellacking in the review. One thing I want to point out, the good about it is the fact that it can really see in low light, and it is on par with analog night vision, Gen 3 and Gen 2. I think some usability features need to be tweaked with these units, some contrasting stuff, the screen being tilted with a normal PVS-14 mount. I know they sell other ones. Yeah, all in all, I actually think it's actually a good review, but we here at Citizen Survival Plan have to be consumer advocates first. We cannot have companies sending us stuff and asking for good reviews. And Astra did not do that. They sent us this unit and gave us absolutely no instruction, and we appreciate that. And we hope that Astra takes some of the criticism that I have about the unit and actually improves upon this technology. Some guys are really against digital night vision, just like some guys are just really against electric cars. Here at Citizen Survival Plan, we don't care. We want the best product for the best price. And however you accomplish that goal is okay with us. We don't care. But what we always do is cover the products as they hit us. As we view them, as we're reviewing them, we give you a real review on what they are. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next video.